Hey everyone, so today I want to talk about what is, in my opinion, the greatest One Piece theory of all time. And no, I'm not just talking myself up here because it is not my theory. This is actually a well-known One Piece theory that has been out there for some time. I believe the origin, as far as I know, is a post on the Arlong Park forum, and I'm pasting the link to that original post below, but I don't even know if that is the first person to have thought of it. This is, by the way, the theory of what One Piece is, which is why I think it is essentially the greatest theory of all time, simply because it is the best answer I have ever seen anyone pose as to what the One Piece actually is, which means it answers the fundamental mystery posed at the start of the series. By far the most important mystery in the story: what is this treasure that everyone is searching for? And you might be thinking, Morge, what kind of a video is this if you're just talking about somebody else's theory? And that is a great question. You see, this theory is from 2013. A lot of story has happened since then. I have wanted to talk about this theory for a long time, precisely because the further and further the story has gone on, the more and more evidence I have seen that supports this theory. I think that enough has happened since that theory was posted that it's time to take another look at it with a wealth of new evidence and consider if maybe it actually is just the definitive answer as to what One Piece is. So before we get into it, make sure to subscribe for more One Piece videos every week. So, let me quickly break down what the theory originally was before getting into new evidence that I am personally bringing to the table. The theory is that One Piece is not a treasure like gold or some weapon or even a poneglyph, rather it is the creation of a new ocean itself. Right now, the world is split into 4 oceans because of the Red Line and the Grand Line. However, if the Red Line were to be destroyed at 2 central points where it intersects with the Grand Line, meaning Reverse Mountain and Marijois, then suddenly all 4 blue seas would connect. It would be the creation of a new ocean. The ocean would finally be in One Piece. The idea is that this new ocean is the treasure of One Piece itself, and it is what the entire series has been leading to from the start. So for starters, this would prove Charlie's prophecy, that Luffy was always destined to destroy Fishman Island, as the destruction of the Red Line at Marijois would ultimately destroy Fishman Island below it as well in the process. It may even be why Joy Boy left an apology to the Fishman people. On top of this, it connects to Sanji's dream of the All Blue. Supposedly there is a sea out there where all 4 blues connect, and fish from every ocean can be found. However, interestingly, we've never heard of this sort of sea existing across 1,000 chapters of adventures, and it doesn't even make sense for a place like that to exist, except for the central points where the Red Line and the Grand Line intersect. As such, the All Blue is actually something that would have to be created. It is a legend tied to the One Piece all along, and will be formed when the Red Line is destroyed. On top of that, the 2 ancient weapons we know of so far perfectly play a role in this theory. Pluton is a warship of tremendous firepower, capable of destroying islands, and as such, it is also likely capable of destroying a portion of the Red Line. It may be the key to destroying Reverse Mountain, as well as the Marijois section. On top of that, the other reason that the ocean was restricted besides the Red Line was the Calm Belt. If the Red Line prevents sailors from traveling between the right and left hemispheres, the Calm Belt is what prevents sailors from traveling between the north and south hemispheres. The reason being, the Calm Belt has Sea Kings. However, the ancient weapon Poseidon could easily prevent the Sea Kings from being a problem for sailors ever again. As such, with the Red Line destroyed and the Calm Belt neutralized, there would finally truly be a free, open ocean. Lastly, even just looking at the construction of the One Piece world, the entire story is a search for a pirate's treasure, the biggest pirate treasure hunt in the history of pirate treasure hunts. Traditionally, pirates' treasures are marked on a map with a giant X marks the spot. As such, for the biggest pirate treasure hunt in the history of fiction, the grandest of grand treasures imaginable, there is a simple brilliance to the idea that it was hidden in plain sight all along, marked from the start with a giant X that spans the globe, with the great treasure precisely at the center of that X. Even just the simple fact that it is the Red Line doubles down on this idea, as it is traditionally a red X that marks the pirate's treasure. So that's the theory. To me, all that sounds really good on paper, best theory for One Piece that I've ever heard, and there are more details that the original post has, but those are the main selling points. Now, if you're already somewhat interested, everything I may say next may seal the deal for you. If you're skeptical, then I think you may at least have second thoughts after hearing my reasons. So, let's get into my thoughts. From the way I view the series, this theory is probably the most fitting idea for what One Piece could possibly be, that stays true to everything Oda has set up both plot-wise and thematically throughout the story for several reasons. So, first of all, let me quickly address a common criticism I see of this theory, which is that an ocean, a new ocean, is not a treasure, and that Oda promised that there would be an actual physical treasure, therefore this theory can't be correct. Guess what? A new ocean is a physical treasure. What Oda said specifically is that One Piece wouldn't be some sort of intangible concept, like friendship or love or something like that. But the creation of a giant new ocean to sail around on is very much a real tangible reward. And if anything, it would probably be the reward that would make Luffy the most happy. It is essentially a reward perfect for someone like Luffy, because by the end of the series, Luffy will have sailed the entire Grand Line. He will already have completed the journey across the most exciting sea. The only way up from there for him is if now all of the world's oceans were to suddenly be connected and he's now got one giant new ocean to explore where he could suddenly freely travel anywhere and everywhere, no more restrictions between the Four Blues, just finally endless open world adventure for Luffy and the crew. What do you think Luffy could be rewarded with that could be actually better than a giant endless ocean of adventure? Meat? Money? A new hat? I think it's very clearly this. And again, while Oda has made clear that things like friendship aren't a treasure, Oda also went to great lengths from the start of the series, from all the way back in East Blue, to make clear to readers that a treasure can still mean many different things. If you go back and reread East Blue, you will see how many times Oda tried to beat that message into our brains. So yes, an ocean can be a treasure. Lastly, just think about it from the perspective of Sanji's dream. Sanji was searching for the All Blue, this special ocean. Before, pretend you've never heard of the theory that the One Piece is the All Blue. Would you have said that the All Blue, Sanji searching for the All Blue, is the same as just finding, friendship or love? No, I'm pretty sure it's pretty obvious that the All Blue that Sanji was searching for is a physical, tangible goal for Sanji. So you shouldn't change that mentality when we find out that the One Piece is the creation of an ocean like that. A new ocean is obviously a physical reward. It is not some vague concept like friendship. So that criticism aside, let me just start getting into my arguments in favor of the theory. So for starters, at the most basic simple level, this is by far the best idea for what One Piece is that matches the core theme of the series: freedom. The One Piece is essentially freedom itself with this theory. It is the creation of a new world, an open world, not bound by walls or ocean lines. And of course, since the creation of One Piece would naturally be marked by the destruction of Mary Geoise, it would be the end of the Celestial Dragon's rule, and the moment the world becomes free again. As such, in both a literal geographic sense and in the actual series' central conflict, the destruction of the Red Line at Mary Geoise is the birth of a new world of freedom. Or actually, maybe it could be better said to be the dawn of a new world of freedom. Because there's a long-running theme that has been built up throughout the story. There is a cycle of oppression, destruction, and rebirth. Or more precisely, I guess, darkness, destruction, and a new dawn. This is something I discussed at length in my video, The Dawn of One Piece, but let me summarize here. The messaging that Oda has woven into the story over a long period of time is that there is a great darkness that envelops the world, that is, the world government. And it has been keeping the world in essentially a long night for 800 years. The sun represents freedom, and so the dawn of this world is the birth of a new world of freedom. And lastly, the path to the sun always begins with destruction first. The existing order has to be destroyed for the dawn to rise on a new world. If we focus on this point of destruction, we can see quotes supporting this all the way back in Drum Kingdom, with Dalton explaining that Drum Kingdom needed to be destroyed, and that they needed to start again with a clean slate. And so the arc ends when they are reborn as a country without a name. In Fishman Island, it is again stressed that it is time to end the darkness by destroying the country's previous history, with Fukaboshi begging Luffy to return the nation back to nothing. And most importantly, we have Dressrosa. Again, I have a full video just on Dressrosa explaining how Dressrosa is meant to function as a microcosm of the world government as a whole, ruled by a celestial dragon the same way the world is ruled by celestial dragons. Dressrosa seems to be nice but has evil under the surface, just like the world government, Doflamingo makes people that don't obey him disappear, just like the world government makes potential threats disappear. Doflamingo erases knowledge and history from people's minds, just like the world government erases the history of the world, so on and so forth. I really suggest watching that video for a more comprehensive breakdown, but the important point is that the entire ending of Dressrosa culminated in the old nation of Dressrosa being completely destroyed, completely and utterly reduced to rubble, which allowed for the birth of a new land of freedom. And so that is the consistent messaging throughout the story. Destruction of the pre-existing order, reduce everything to rubble, tear it down to nothing, and then you have the birth of a new, free world. There's no way the finale of One Piece does not end with the grandest, most climactic depiction of this concept that we have been seeing throughout the story. Mary Geoise is perfectly in place, exactly where it needs to be for us to get that big finale, where we can see this idea play out on the grandest stage possible, the destruction of the existing order, reduce it all to rubble, tear it down to nothing, and suddenly you're looking at the birth, the dawn of a new world of freedom. The celestial dragons are gone, there is a boundless open ocean with no barriers, no great controlling force. It is the dawn of a new world. Now, one thing people don't see quite fitting is that the end of the story is just going to be Pluton being fired at the Red Line. This is where I think that there's a crucial, powerful piece that was missing from the initial theory. I'm going to get back to Mary Geoise in a second, but first let me remind you guys that the Red Line needs to be destroyed at 2 points. First Reverse Mountain, then Mary Geoise. I think no matter what, Pluton would be used to destroy one of these points at least, to sort of check off the use of that ancient weapon in the story. Most likely, that would be Reverse Mountain, since that comes first chronologically. The destruction of Mary Geoise should be the final climactic moment of the series. It also just makes sense based on the Straw Hats' journey. They should be getting close to Reverse Mountain again by the end of their journey. It would make a lot of sense for the Reverse Mountain plotline to be taken care of first before Mary Geoise. It especially makes a lot of sense because of Laboon. Laboon's entire storyline was built up around him versus the mountain. Him versus the mountain that he believed had his friends waiting for him beyond it. His entire life was bashing his head over and over again futilely against that mountain, trying to bring it down. What do you think that was set up for? How do you think Laboon is going to reunite with Brook and the Straw Hats? Do you think that they're gonna come sailing from over the horizon to slowly come into sight? Or is it not infinitely better set up for that mountain to finally come down in front of Laboon's eyes with the crew sailing through it? To me, the entire inclusion of the Laboon plotline into the story in the first place inherently makes a lot more sense, like why Oda even thought to include it in the first place if One Piece was the destruction of the Red Line all along. Because if the Red Line always needed to be destroyed, if Oda always knew that that's what would create the One Piece, then technically to be symmetrical, he would have to have it destroyed at 2 points to actually create the actual full open ocean. So Oda couldn't just have one big destruction event occur at Mary Geoise, he technically would also need to destroy Reverse Mountain at some point over the course of the story. Okay, but then that kind of makes the destruction of the Red Line at the end of the story slightly anticlimactic, since now it's happening twice. But not if you're smart like Oda and you realize you can get another story out of it. And so Oda wrote in Laboon, a character whose entire storyline was built around wanting to see the destruction of Reverse Mountain, so he could be reunited with his friends. And Oda wrote in Brook, so that this storyline actually culminates in a powerful reunion when the Straw Hats inevitably come all the way back around and destroy Reverse Mountain. That makes it so that the first instance of destroying the Red Line is its own special event for an entirely different reason. It's the resolution of a long-running character plotline. From there, the Straw Hats could easily sail back through the first half of the Grand Line to Mary Geoise, gathering allies from the first half of the Grand Line as well along the way. I fully expect the nation of Alabasta to be involved in the final battle. I fully expect Amazon Lily to be involved, so on and so forth. Whereas the Straw Hat allies from the New World could easily follow them through the first half of the Grand Line as well, or just come around at Mary Geoise from the other side in sort of dual front attack. It doesn't really matter. And now we get to Mary Geoise. Do I think that Mary Geoise is going to be destroyed by Pluton? No, that is a weird, anticlimactic end to a story like One Piece. Just having a big ship shoot a big cannon to make a big explosion, and then freedom. I doubt it would ever be that easy. I think the simplest answer is that the final arc of One Piece will climax the same way that every major arc of One Piece climaxes, with one final attack by Luffy. I've talked before about how one of the biggest strengths of One Piece fights is Oda's ability to think through how he can do something special with Luffy's final blow. Something meaningful, something thematically resonant, something beyond just beating the villain, something that carries symbolism with it. There is also a trend for Luffy's final attacks to conclude with him hitting his opponent through something. Punching Crocodile through layers of bedrock, taking Arlong down through Arlong Park, Lucci through the tower, Hordy through the ship, so on and so forth. And most importantly, specifically when it came to how Luffy defeated Doflamingo, who was, again, a Celestial Dragon, whose rule over Dressrosa was explicitly meant to parallel the Celestial Dragon's rule over the entire world, Luffy ended it by sending Doflamingo crashing down through the earth of Dressrosa, reducing everything below him to rubble, which was what birthed the new land of freedom. So what am I saying here? I am saying I would bet all the money I have in the world that the story of One Piece will end with Luffy, with his own hands creating the One Piece, very likely by punching the final villain of the series down through the red line. Don't believe me? Well, let's look at Fishman Island one more time. So for one, Madame Charlie said Luffy would destroy Fishman Island, and I think that is very literal, that Luffy will literally be the one to destroy that red line with his own two hands. Luffy will himself be the one to destroy Fishman Island in the process, though obviously for the sake of creating a better world. And more importantly, what happened the last time Luffy was at the red line? How did the story arc of Fishman Island, how did that battle conclude? One giant elephant Gatling on the main villain of the arc, Hordy Jones, sending him down, defeating Hordy Jones in the process of trying to destroy something much larger, the Noah. Why? Because Luffy was going to erase Fishman Island's history, reduce what previously existed to nothing so that they could start with a blank slate. That was Luffy's first big finisher move he used in the post-time skip, a battle taking place right underneath the red line. And interestingly, he was stopped early from destroying the Noah completely. We didn't actually get to see that satisfying big finish of Luffy completely destroying the ship. I believe this little battle to start the post-time skip was a mirror into the future. I believe the series is going to end much the same way, with Oda starting and ending the post-time skip in similar fashion. Only the next time Luffy is going to be many times stronger, and he's going to be destroying the entire thing. Not just Fishman Island's history, not just Little Noah. Luffy is going to be doing this to the red line itself, and bringing the entire thing crashing down. And this time he will go all the way through with it, taking down whatever villain needs to be taken down in the process. Want some more pieces to fall into place? What about Blackbeard and the Gura Gura no Mi? Is there a fruit in existence that is better suited to destroying the red line than the Gura Gura no Mi? We know Blackbeard is interested in studying history. We know he felt the Gura Gura no Mi was crucial to his long-term goals. Was it just because it was a powerful fruit? Or was it because it had the capability to accomplish his ultimate goal? I'm not even saying that Blackbeard already knows what the One Piece is, just that he may have learned through some means that the Gura Gura no Mi is potentially a useful tool in relationship to the One Piece. What's more, a lot of people feel Blackbeard can't possibly be a villain at the final battle at Marijoa because by then the One Piece will have been found already, right? The One Piece is supposed to be at Rafto, so Blackbeard would have been defeated. But that's not the case if the destruction of the Red Line is the creation of the One Piece itself. In that case, you could easily conclude the series with a classic pirate duel at the center of the world for the greatest treasure in the world. And what's more, think about Luffy's potential Devil Fruit awakening, which many believe to be the ability to turn surroundings into rubber, based on the fact that Katakuri and Doflamingo's Parmesia awakenings worked like that. That seems like an easy potential setup for Blackbeard attempting to destroy the Red Line with the Gura Gura no Mi, only to be countered by Luffy turning it into rubber, making it unquakeable. And sure, now I'm just spitballing a little bit with possibilities, but I do think that those are at least interesting possibilities. And if you think Im is going to be the final villain still and not Blackbeard, sure, I can get behind that. I just know that someone is going to be punched down through the Red Line by Luffy. And here is the last point. Sanji and the All Blue. The original theory makes a great point with that connection. But here I just want to close by adding my reasons for how perfectly fitting and likely how perfectly set up it is that the All Blue is the One Piece. And it starts with me saying, I want to encourage you all to go back and read Baratie, because it is a very quick reread. If you do, you can almost feel Oda laughing at how clever he is to hide the truth so plainly that One Piece and All Blue are the same thing. Because Baratie was an arc largely about chasing one's dreams. Sanji was a character who had a grand dream like Luffy, but he felt like he could never allow himself to chase after it because he was indebted to Zeph. Throughout the arc, the dynamic between Luffy and Sanji is that Luffy is trying to show Sanji that there is no use burdening yourself with guilt over a debt that doesn't need to be repaid, because the entire point of Sanji and Zeph's backstory, paralleling Luffy and Shanks' backstory, was that Shanks and Zeph did not make sacrifices for them simply so that they would repay their debts. They made those sacrifices so that Luffy and Sanji would be able to chase their dreams. The entire arc was showcasing how Luffy and Sanji were so similar in their passions and their desires. They both had a similar dream and a similar formative experience, but Sanji was bogged down by something that Luffy was not, something holding him back mentally from chasing his dream that he had to ultimately let go of. And so ultimately what Luffy and Sanji ended up bonding over in the end was their dreams. So take a second and understand this. Out of all the Straw Hats, out of every single crew member that has joined Luffy, the only one whose bond with Luffy was defined by the sharing of their dreams was Sanji. The only Straw Hat whose origin arc was about learning to follow his dream was Sanji. The brilliance of this arc and what draws Luffy and Sanji together is not just that they had mentors who made sacrifices for them so they could follow their dreams, not just that they're both chasing something that may or may not exist, not just that they're the only two Straw Hats who bonded over chasing dreams, but it's that they had the same dream all along. It's not going to be just some random coincidence that all Blue and One Piece are the same thing. This goes to the core of Sanji's character and why Oda wrote him all along. As the Straw Hat who needed to learn something about dreams, he was the one Straw Hat who had to learn to give in to the romance of dreams like Luffy did, because all along, he and Luffy have the same dream. So ultimately, I think whoever made this theory all the way back in 2013 was spot on, and I hope that everything I said today helped you see why I believe this to be true. So if you enjoyed this video, then definitely like, comment, and subscribe, and you can support me on Patreon to get my extended thoughts on this and all future topics.